The agency legislation was introduced in April 2014 to address the widespread abuse of false self-employment, particularly in the construction industry. The rules apply where a worker personally provides their services to a client via an agency and is subject to or a right of Supervision Directional Control, which I'll refer to as SDC, by anyone in the contractual chain. SDC is a very rigid test and the degree of SDC is irrelevant. The question only is concerned with the manner in which the worker provides their services. It doesn't matter if there's only one element of the test met. HMRC's view is that unless there's evidence to the contrary, then all workers are subject to SDC. As a general rule, personal service companies are not affected by the legislation, so what we're dealing with here are sole traders. There are a few exemptions involving the fashion and entertainment industry and also for those working from home. Where a worker is subject to SDC, then they'll automatically be classified as an employee, and the agency closest to the client will become the deemed employer and responsible for deducting pay-as-you-earn tax and NIC. If the end client provides a fraudulent document that states there's no SDC, then the end client will then become the deemed employer and therefore responsible for deducting pay-as-you-earn tax and NIC. Whilst I've not seen a lot of compliance activity in this area, agencies should not be complacent, as this is a ticking time bomb. One only has to consider the MSC legislation that was introduced in 2007, and where for a long time there was no activity until in recent years where HMRC have really gone to town with it. Also, HMRC last year won a case at the First Tier Tax Tribunal that involved the healthcare agency K5K, albeit that this hinged around problems with documentation. However, it does demonstrate that HMRC are active in this area. Agencies supplying workers directly to a client on a self-employed basis must retain evidence that demonstrates there's no SDC or a right of SDC. The contract would be a good starting point, but also a signed statement from the client that corroborates there's no SDC. And where a worker is engaged for a lengthy spell, then any notification from the client where the circumstances materially change. It's important to remember when dealing with construction workers that agencies must firstly consider the agency legislation, and then when they're satisfied that that doesn't apply, then they consider the construction industry scheme rules. These are two separate pieces of legislation.